Good news. I totally finally figured out my ish, and I'm going to be starting a brand new series where I am documenting my journey on building a world worth living in.
Wow.
Now, what does that actually mean and why I actually decided to start doing this as a brand new series and, what you can get out of this? We're going to break that all down in this video. And I actually have notes here because I want to make sure that I don't go on to 17,000 different side quests with my ADHD brain. So we're just going to keep track on this so you can follow along. Here's what I was deducing, all right? I realized that obviously the world that we're living in right now is crumbling, right? It's kind of like watching a really bad car crash happen, but in slow motion, and you can't really stop it. We are in a post-capitalist phase. The societal structures that are governing our societies are crumbling, and the patriarchy is breaking down. I obviously want to do my part in order to navigate our ways through the destruction. But over the course of the past 2.5 years, basically, Spirit has really been priming me into stepping into my full identity, which one of the identities is being an architect. If you remember from a lot of my TikToks from 2024, 2023, and especially towards the end when I was really ramping up before I left TikTok, I was really talking about you got to get on the train, you got to get on the train, right? The train's getting to the new earth, and actually get there, you need to get on the fucking train. And I was always like, no, the new earth is being built in real time, in real life, in the 3D. I don't understand all these other spiritual talkers who were like, oh no, it's not, it's just a state of mind. And I'm like, no, the downloads that I were getting were literal blueprints for how this could actually work in our real life society in the 3D. And so at first I was dismissing them because I thought that I was crazy because I wasn't seeing anybody else talk about it. And so I had to get off TikTok. Basically, I had to get off TikTok because I needed to basically deprogram myself from being a performer. Being a performer is not what I came here to be. I am not here to gain everyone's attention all the time and performing 100,000 hours a day and wanting attention and likes, right? What I came here to do was be an authority. And that was confirmed by my Chinese astrology chart, which I delved into a year ago, I think. And I just have been obsessively fast track learning Chinese astrology, which is a whole other video for another time. I do have a Substack article about it, but I'm trying not to go on 17,000 different tangents. So my point is that basically I had to deprogram myself from the false identity that I was living that was dictating that I was just this little tarot reader and little influencer and content creator on TikTok. It was fun. It was great. I honestly was making so much money and I was so happy with the amount of attention that I was getting. But there is a very big difference between visibility and validation. And they are not the same thing. This whole time, I had to get off of short form content and I had to grieve this old dream that I had of being an A-list celebrity performer, whether that was an actor, singer, dancer, whatever, but that was still performing. And I had to come to terms with the fact that my chart, my soul, who I truly am, based on all of my birth charts from Chinese astrology, tropical astrology, sidereal, all the things, human design, was no, you're meant to be an authority. And authority makes wealth through what? Trust, right? And wisdom. Oh, I'm going to follow her. I'm going to buy from her because I trust that bitch. She knows what the fuck she's talking about. I need to follow her. I trust her, right? That's different from grabbing your attention with a viral hook to make you feel like you're getting FOMO to buy the latest tchotchke product, right? So there was a lot of grieving and a lot of tears, and it was honestly really excruciating. So if you are going through the dark night of the soul yourself, trust me, I feel you. And if you need any assistance and going through that, of course, you can always book a session or a reading or DM me. But the point is that what was so liberating about going through the dark night of the soul was I realized that I am one of the visionaries who is going to architect the new world order. What's going to replace this post-capitalist society, which is really exciting and liberating, but it's also terrifying as fuck because right now it's just a shit show everywhere that you look, right? So I was like, how do I get on board with this whole situation? And it was so interesting because the more that I just allowed myself to get the visions again and accept the fact that I guess I'm an authority instead of just an attention performer or whatever, I was like, all right, let me see what the downloads are for what I'm supposed to be building in and playing this part in building the new world order. Because I don't feel like I'm technically the leader of the new world order, but I do feel like I have the architectural blueprints that I want other people to come and collaborate with me and help me actually build this in real life. And these are real life things like getting properties, getting real estate, getting the experiences, having the places where people can actually live in a way that's actually sustainable and all of that stuff. So that was really exciting, right? And if you go and look again at my old TikToks, because my TikTok account is still active, so you can still go and look at it. I was talking about how you need to get on the train, you need to ascend and evolve, you need to learn your karmic lessons in order to be at a high enough vibrational frequency to be able to live in the new earth or the new world order. And that in a way is true. Let's talk about these last 2.5 years and what I learned. I realized through all of my own suffering and deep dive researching to try and figure out why this was happening to me, why I couldn't make my dreams come true, why I was being denied all of the things that I wanted, right? Why things didn't feel like they were working out in my favor. And what I had come to the conclusion of was the fact that this is going to be like macro perspective. So you're going to have to take a very big eagle eyes perspective, right? But the actual problem that we have and the reason why the society's in such a hot mess right now, I feel like it's just like a messy reality TV show that we're seeing on the news every day, is because the matrix itself is broken. The matrix itself is not doing its job. Now, I know I'm going to get very controversial here. So again, take what resonates and leave the rest. But this is what I have. These are the downloads that I've been getting. I've been collecting the evidence, the maths. All right. So let me try and break this down for you in a way that you can easily understand it. If you think about it, right? The problems that we're having right now with society is the fact that the people at the top who have the power, who are dictating how we get to live as societies, are people who are very greedy and want to hoard all of the power and assets for themselves, right? And so we can blame all these individual leaders at the top or whatever, but the overarching trend for all of them is the fact that they have not learned their karmic lessons that they came here to learn. And because of that, they are, again, hoarding. And it's very like President Snow in the Hunger Games. District 1 through 3 has everything, meanwhile the rest of the districts are starving. And that's not the most peaceful or harmonious or abundant way to live as a collective, obviously, right? Hence why Katniss goes and saves the day. Now, how do you fix that, right? So I was like, so if the source of the problem basically is greed, so you can replace the leaders with whoever, it doesn't matter. It's just, it happens over and over and over again because this isn't the first time that a capitalist society has fallen. This isn't the first time that these huge powerhouses have fallen, right? This has happened over and over and over and over again where Rome gets built and then it falls and then it gets built and then it gets falls and it falls. And then we have all of these different revolutions all across history. So it's like, we are not learning. We're not growing and evolving as a collective, or if we are, it's not as fast as it should be. And so I sat there and I was like, take this a step back further. And I was like, let's think about this. Why are we here? The quintessential question that every single philosopher is trying to pour over themselves. And I feel like the answer is so obvious. I don't understand why it's not so obvious to everyone anymore, but Why are we here as spiritual beings? Or why are we here on this earth, right? Especially if you're spiritual. Obviously, if you're atheist, you probably won't believe this. But in short, we are spiritual beings, right? We're souls who inhabited human bodies, came here to earth to have human experiences in order to ascend and evolve. That's what we came here to do. It's not, to me, it's not that complicated, but throughout all of the different religions, all of the different spiritual modalities, all of the things that I have researched, and even if you go into science, right? Even if you take us as animals, like Homo sapiens, right? Darwinism, survival of the fittest, we want to just get better and healthier and stronger and have our offspring live and thrive better than we do, right? So again, it's just to ascend and evolve, right? To get wiser, faster, stronger, and to evolve into better versions of ourselves. That makes sense, right? As a premise, right? And so when you think about it through that lens, then every time you come here on earth, you as a spiritual being before you got into this body was like, bet, I want to become a master of insert whatever, right? Whether it's leading, whether it's with money, whether it's with relationships, whether it's cultivating a new skill, your psychic abilities, or learning a new craft. Maybe it's like innovating technology, because look at the rise of AI right now, right? And so whatever it is, right, you came here to learn a new skill and to master a new skill and to gain more wisdom. Those are different ways of being like, what lesson are you trying to learn, right? It's not where you're being punished. You wanted to get better, faster, stronger, wiser. So you said, in order for me to learn these lessons, and the best way for me, I want to go into this body, have these parents, meet up with these other soulmates or spiritual beings that will either help me on my way, trigger me to learn the lesson or the experience. That's how we get into twin flames and soulmates and like karmic contracts, and bet that makes sense, right? So then I'm like, well, then why are people still being assholes? For lack of a better word, right? Why are we still taking so much time to develop unconditional love for each other, to be able to share the wealth and abundance that this earth fucking provides us? Why is this so difficult? And the common denominator is that people are refusing to learn I don't want to say again, learn their lessons, but to gain the wisdom that they wanted to learn from these experiences, and also to master the skills in order to help them ascend and evolve, right? There's two things that need to happen in order for utopia or paradise or the new earth or the new world order, whatever you want to call it, in order to exist in real life. The first one is people actually need to start learning their lessons. They need to, again, I hate using that phrase, but it's like you need to learn your karmic contracts, right? What did you come here to learn? What wisdoms do you want to gain? How are you wanting to become a better person to evolve, right? And what skills did you come here to master? And when you actually go and start mastering those skills and start implementing those wisdoms, right? You feel a lot more at peace. You become a lot more abundant. You become a lot more peaceful. You become a lot happier, and you realize you're not competing with other people. You're not having the fear of being seen. You're not projecting all of your shit onto other people. You're not being a Karen about all this stuff. You're not being a greedy a-hole and trying to hoard all of this power and resources, right? You would just be like, oh, this is the way, and this is really fun, and this is what I can do. So once there are enough people who are of that ascended mindset, then we can band together and really live very harmoniously and peacefully together, right? And not have to fight for resources or wonder how we're going to pay rent next month. I was like, two things need to be made. Number one, and this was in a vision that I got, gosh, starting from way at the beginning of my psychic career, I was like, I had this vision of building a transformation chamber in order to help people learn their lessons so that they could be at a high enough frequency to live in the New World Order. And then actually building the New World Order, and what would those laws be like? What would that living there be like, right? So the whole purpose of this new series, right, documenting my journey of building a world worth living in, is me sharing these downloads that I'm getting and actually building this brick by brick. I've already started doing this. One of the cool things that really clicked it into place for me was, instead of thinking building a fantasy world and, oh, there's witches and fairies and elves and dragons and vampires and whatever, because it's still out there and doesn't feel real, I was actually talking to my mom about this, and I was trying to find an analogy to make it make sense for her. And I was like, think about it like a country. So I want you to think about this, right? When you go travel internationally to another country, right? When you get to the airport, you have to go through immigration and you have to go through customs, right? They're going to ask you questions if you haven't traveled internationally before. They're going to ask you questions. Oh, well, welcome to blah country, right? So what's the reason for your visit? What's the purpose? Is it business or pleasure? How long are you staying for? Where are you staying? Who are you staying with, right? These are all these little questions that they have because they want to know what business you have coming to their country. And so once I started thinking about that, I was like, oh my God, I can actually make this real in real life, right? So for example, once I build the actual new Earth, right, where those who are high enough of a frequency can live without having to worry about rent and food and all that. If you want to come and visit, what's the purpose of your visit? How long are you staying here for? Where are you staying? And looking through your bags, making sure you didn't bring any weapons or drugs or whatever, right? It's that same kind of thing. And then we just like, oh my God, all of the neurons started firing off in my brain. And I'm like, this is viable. I can actually build this. And then I can build whatever transformation chamber, school, a Hogwarts of sorts, to be able to ascend, right? Learn the wisdoms that you came here to learn, master the skills that you came here to master, so that you can click into your truest identity in order to use your gifts in order to help the collective, raise a collective consciousness, right? Because when you hear the phrase raise a collective consciousness, it's been used so often. It's just ad nauseum, and it doesn't even mean anything anymore. So the way that I feel like it means is that when you are actually clicked into full alignment, mind, body, and soul, with who you truly came here to be, right? The jealousy, the greed, the insecurities, the fears, all of that stuff dissipates tremendously. You're not afraid that, oh, Susie Q over there just got her bag, where's mine? Because you're already on your own journey. You're already learning what you need to learn. And you already know that if you stay on your path, you're going to be able to get your bag too. So there's no competition, because it's like, just because she has her bag doesn't mean that you can't get your bag. You know what I mean? Then there's a lot more community. There's a lot more collaborations. There's a lot more of people helping each other. And it's giving the energy of the blue zones that are already here on Earth. And if you don't know what the blue zones are, there's a Netflix documentary, I believe it's called The Blue Zones. But basically there's, I think, 8 of them. I can't remember. Around the world, one's in California, one's in Greece, one's in Italy, one's in Japan. And the documentary was just looking at how they lived and what they ate and what the community was like that made it such a peaceful place to live. So the blue zones are basically the areas of the world where they produce the most centurions. And the centurions are people who live up to 100 years old or more, right? So it's like, how did you're seeing a 96-year-old woman thread a needle with complete accuracy and being able to continue to knit and to have a wonderful high quality of life, right? And she's being taken care of by her community and all of this stuff, right? That's the ideal way, right? Not just like shoving elderly people into an old folks home where they're getting abused and neglected and not taken care of, right? And then for our children, not being able to have daycare or neighbors being able to help. It takes a village to raise a child. What would happen if we actually started building this in real time, right? Because nothing's going to change if you're not doing anything to make it happen. And especially at the time of me filming this video, it's actually the new moon solar eclipse in Leo. So it's August 12th, 2026. It's really significant because this Lionsgate portal in particular, with this whole like eclipse, plus the fact that Jupiter is also in Leo, asking all of us to become more visible. And again, that whole like visibility not equal validation. So it's again like saying, all right, bitch, you said that you wanted to be a visionary leader. You said you wanted to be the architect of the New World Order. You said that you wanted to raise the collective consciousness by spreading unconditional love or whatever it is that you're doing, or to like use your singing and your acting and your talents to be able to like make the world a happier place, whatever that is for you, okay? Then step into it, own it, and then start doing something about it. Like me making this video, right? That is you getting visible. Now, the not validation part is also saying, I'm not going to look at the likes. I'm not going to bother with the metrics right now. I just want to start laying down these bricks to show the universe and to show myself that I am actually building this in real time. Then, a la Atomic Habits by James Clear, when you start doing this consistently and this becomes a habit of yours, you then those habits then create compound interest, and you're going to be able to reach your goal faster than you thought. And the manifesting part of it, there's no need for delulu because you're not deluded. You're actually living it in real time, which is a lot more of a grounded way of manifesting what you want, right? Now, I'm all for romanticizing your life and having a soft girl era and all of that, but I think it's important to understand that you get to build that. That's the fun part of being human, right? Like making this video, connecting with other people, touching the visceral things in real life. Oh, look, yeah, see, victory, the 6 of Wands. One of my first bricks is showing up and actually telling you and sharing with you the origin story on how this whole idea of building a world worth living in came to me, right? And then the country thing, like having visas, right? People can get visas to come like enter my world. Another that I had was that, portals to like enter my world, right? So think like the show, the Magicians on Sci-Fi, which I believe is now, I forget where it's streaming now, but that show had portals around the city where like if you were a magician, you could get access to in order to get to Break Bill's university, right? To study real magic. So I was like, oh my God. So what would a portal be for like me right now? And like a portal into my world would be what? My YouTube, potentially my Substack. I'm saying I was going to go back on TikTok, but I think I'm going to start a new Instagram account because that felt better to me after pulling some cards about it. And for my portals where people would find me and be like, oh, wait, what is she doing? Oh my God, well, that's interesting. I want more. So that is something that I can start building out, right? And thinking about it, like really going, all right, like decision making. Do I actually want this water bottle, for example? All right. And it's like sometimes when we're still deconditioning ourselves from like the fashion and the FOMO because, society has bred us to like need things in order to like lock in our identity, but we really don't. If you're building your own country, right? Think about it. It'd be like, would I have this water bottle in my country? Yes or no? If yes, keep it. If no, get rid of it. I had like a crazy experience when I went to the grocery store to pick up some groceries and I was just having a bum day. And I was like, I'm just going to get a Diet Coke, right? But then I thought about it and I was like, wait a second, why am I going to buy a Diet Coke? Like, are they going to have Diet Cokes in my country? And I was like, absolutely the fuck not. Do you know why? Because I'm not going to have toxic chemicals that are going to be imbibing into my body all the time. If I am going to have a soda like Diet Coke, it would be healthy. It would be nutritious. It would be like a delight. It would actually, strengthen my body instead of like, make my body weaker. And so it was interesting. I was able to like easily put the bottle of Diet Coke down and I'm like, done, right? And then I was like, all right, well, what would be better? And I forgot that I had a soda stream in my house from like 2019 before. And I was like, oh, maybe I can just use that to make carbonated water and put my own sweetness or beverages in there and that would be fine. So it's like so more of a healthier way for me to like get a little tasty beverage versus having to spend a crap ton of money to a $1 billion company that I don't really want to support anymore. Does that make any sense? So it's like having these little switches and shifts in order to really embody the energy and the identity of the visionary architect who can build the new world order, but also like building a country, my world that is worth living in. Because I would rather live in a world where all of the food options are healthy and nourish my body and make me feel better and wiser and stronger and can like think clearly, right? Like, wouldn't you, because prevention is the best medicine. So I would rather eat healthily and not have to go to the doctor all the time than like eat like crap and like constantly have to pay thousands of dollars for doctor's visits and like illnesses from this lack of nutrition. So these are the things that I'm literally thinking about 24/7 now. And I really want to like document my journey building this brick by brick. Of course, if you are interested in figuring out your identity and what your part to play is in building the New World Order, you can follow my Substack, The Oracle Edit, where I am dropping 2 posts a week, giving you tips on how to actually edit out your false identities so that you lock in your true identity and be able to make the luxury life and wealth that you deserve and desire. If you want to watch this documentation of my journey, like I know how this is going to evolve, but we're just going to take it one video at a time, okay? Really excited for that. Then you're going to want to follow my Confessions of a Primordial Princess Substack and also this YouTube channel. So that's kind of what I wanted to cover because I could definitely talk about this for like 4 hours, but I don't know how long you actually want to listen to that. But goal is to put down 1 brick a day for my world. And that's what I'm doing with this video today. If you want to see a little sneak peek, I actually got onto Canva because I need visuals. And I just started like doing this little map that you see here. And I'm like gonna kind of flush this out and like, thank goodness Canva has a lot of these graphics so I can kind of just put like little houses and like shops and like portals. So people who are more interested in learning about themselves will come probably through the portal to the academy. And then that's where they can learn things. But then there are other people who maybe want the lifestyle and what it's like and maybe want like a visa for this world. So they may come in through like my other portal, right? Like for those of you who want to collaborate with me and want to help me build this in real life, like maybe you're a real estate agent, maybe you have a lot of properties, maybe you have an engineering degree, maybe you have like coding experience, maybe you're a graphic designer that could help me build like an Oracle deck. Like I don't know, right? But if that's you, or if you want to help me in some shape, way, or form, and you like what I'm building, then of course, like, my email will be below, or you can like DM me and we can like build this together. Excited about this because I want to build in my world, in my version of this, or at least what I'm getting from the downloads is that like I'm trying to build a world where we don't have to compete and we don't have to gatekeep and we don't have to sit here and be like, oh, well, if you want to learn your wealth, you have to pay like $900 million in order to do so. And it's the same garbage about like, people getting wealthy by selling the wealthy course that they took or whatever. I'm just like, this is so yuck, right? Like to me, it's like giving me the major ick. And I would rather be like, all right, like I know, for example, that like I share a lot of free tips, right? Just so that you can figure this stuff out too. But if you want my judgment, right? Because I can see straight into people's souls, that just happens to be my true identity, which is wild because I totally figured out my true identity with Gene Keys. And I have like an article that I posted on the Oracle Edit, I think just yesterday, about how you can find your actual archetype. And it was mind-blowing because it just confirmed what I have been doing like my whole life, but especially with my psychic skills. I have the archetype of being the king/queen, aka the sovereign. And that is confirmed by my Leo MC and North Node in Leo as well. In my human design, I have the left cross rulership of like rulership. So I'm literally to be a leader. Like it's literally my birth chart, right? But what kind of leader, right? And then when I looked at my Gene Keys a bit more, it was like my special sauce, or what like my purpose and like what I came here to do was break down the barriers that prevent us from having authentic connections. Why do you think I can see straight into people's souls? And that's my psychic superpower, because I'm here to like break down all of your barriers, all of your defense mechanisms, right? And be like, yeah, bitch, no, this is what you need to be doing. This is how you're supposed to grow. This is how you're supposed to like, express yourself and like be able to live your HEA, happily ever after, right? And I think that that's so important. So when I put those two things together, like I am the soul seer sovereign. So in my world that I'm running, if you really want to have authentic connection and be able to be celebrated for who you truly are without judgment, and to be able to share who you truly are in a vulnerable way without getting judged, you want to come and live in my world, because that's what I build, right? That's what I'm all about, right? You don't have to fake it. You don't have to like the things that I like. I mean, obviously, but it's like, you don't have to love Disney and Harry Potter in order to live in my world. You don't have to like the color pink. I've actually pretty much evolved from the pink. That's a whole other side story. I'm very much into like burgundy and like chocolate brown. Like, it's giving like dark academia. And I was like, I don't even really, like, I dye my hair like a little purple. I felt like that was a lot more expressive about who I truly am. I think that when you can actually embody and embrace your true identity, then it's so much easier, and your purpose, it's so much easier to know for yourself what next step you can take. And then you just take the next step, and then you take the next step. And that's how shit gets built. You know what I mean? If this resonates with you at all, if this makes you a bit excited, if you're very curious, then please subscribe, like, comment, and share this with a friend. Save this video for later. Be like, oh dang, she said that she was gonna do this on August 12th, and oh my God, look at where this has evolved to. And on top of, if you want a little bit of a spoiler alert, I have been writing a fantasy book series. It's kind of epic. And I personally like thinking fantasy world building, because it allows me more into the possibilities of what could happen versus only looking at like the small 3D, like looking at bigger. And so in the fantasy books, I'm going to be putting blueprints and key codes for those of you who are really ready to rise and like live in the new order with me and like all of the goods. So you're going to stay tuned for that. And then, okay, sorry. Okay. And then the last thing that I want to say is that, like, if you really do also enjoy fantasy and you're like not wanting to be a master in astrology in order to understand your birth chart, and you just want to fucking figure out who the fuck you are so you can like start doing the things that we're born to do and like create the wealth that you're destined to create and like all of those things, I'm also starting this new series on my Oracle Edit Substack. I probably will be rolling out into YouTube videos too, so don't worry. Are these like, what would you do cocology stories? So I'm going to like just screenshot here a first one that I did. It honestly got the most engagement in my Substack. So I was like, okay, I think I'm onto something here. And it was so fun for me to write because it's like part of my fantasy like world writing. And it's the whole, okay, the world, we're the one that slayed the bad guy and that the evil warlord that was suppressing the land. And so now people want you to be the leader, right? So when someone comes up to you and is like, oh my God, you're our new leader. Like, thank you so much for saving us. What do? Right? Like, do you thank them? Do you go, oh, well, no, it's no problem anyway. That's what I'm here. Or do you reject it? Do you say, I'm not equipped to lead, find someone else to lead? So of course, that's the reluctant hero trope. And there's so anyway, the goes into a whole story about it, and then it breaks down afterwards. Depending on what you to do, it gives you an insight, right, into what that actually means for you. So it kind of bypasses your subconscious. You can really get a hold on who you truly are, which I think is like way more fun than being like, okay, so your Pluto is opposite your moon, which is in conjunction with your Saturn in this, in your 10th house, which is why you're having an issue with making money because of this sextile conjunction. Just like, I just want to know the details. So if you don't want to learn that and you want to get it synthesized in a way, I will be creating a workshop to like break this all down in easier to understand way. So if you do have your birth chart information, you can look it up, use my cheat sheets, put in these plug and play formulas, and actually get like, oh, like I'm the soul seer sovereign here to actually break boundaries and barriers so that we can have more authentic connections and build a better world together. Like that is mine. And I can actually say with my full chest now and like not apologize for it. And people are either going to love it or they're going to hate it. And if they hate it, that's great. You're not my audience and that's totally fine. But like for those who do that, they're going to hear that and go, oh my God, yes, subscribe, like, follow. Oh my God, see more, right? So that is, and I get really excited talking about that. That's a crazy thing. Like I get really excited talking about this. And that's how you know, is how you know that you were on the right path, because it amps you up. It like fuels your fire, right? Yeah, there are days where you're not going to feel the fire, but that is going to be your North Star. So sometimes you do have to rest, which I don't like to do. I know that's my personal like fatal flaw. That is Achilles heel right then and there. If there was a robot that could be like, you need to rest now, and then help me actually relax, that would be great. But until that, you know, I actually have to like accountability and just force myself to do it, which is crazy. So, all right. Do you want to build your own world and understand and uncover your true identity and purpose? Then go and subscribe and follow my Oracle Edit Substack and this YouTube channel. That's where I have all the frameworks, my IP, my identity work, tools, all of those things are living in the Oracle Edit. So technically that's probably in the Academy part of my world. Do you want to help me build this actual world in the 3D? Then stay close, because I am going to need other builders and collaborators. If you're already chomping at the bit, email me. My email's below. And then I have no idea what this is going to look like a year from now, but based off of my astrological transits with my birth chart and with what I'm seeing as far as like global transits and also for downloads that I'm getting, like this could be the most miraculous or coolest like thing ever. And if something that interests you, I would love for you to be a part of it and to just follow along for the journey. I don't have all the answers right now, but they are coming in every day. And I am going to be documenting the process so that we can just build it together, right? So you'll see all the triumphs and you'll see all of the failures and like how we move through in order to make it better. And I will just say this one thing. And then this is something that's so cool about like understanding your identity and your purpose and like why you're here and came here to do. Part of what I care to master and learn is how to take all of these life sufferings and experiences that we have as a human and literally be an alchemist and transmute them into wisdom. And then once I have that wisdom, share it with my community and the people that I care about so that you too can rise along with me. And I feel like if you knew me on TikTok and you watched all of my lives, like it's been pretty consistent with who I've always been. I just finally actually have the verbiage to say it and to own it and to understand it and integrate it so I can embody it and then continue to evolve and be that badass bitch or truth-telling oracle. I feel like it's very consistent with who I am. I think that I'm now finally owning it fully and embracing this new direction. I'm very excited about this direction and I'm really excited to share it all with you. So again, like, follow, subscribe, share this. Anyway, let me know what you're most excited to witness. If there's a specific brick that you would like to see me document building, let me know in the comments below. But I'm really excited. I'm really freaking excited. That's it for this first real episode, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.